Hey everybody, hope you're doing well today. I am Brad Cartwright from Econ Course Companion, and today we're going to take a look just at the key terms that are part of the profit section of the unit called Cost, Revenues, and Profit, to isolate them out in case you just need a refresher or are trying to get your head around some of the terms that we use in this section related to profit. So here are four, and they're kind of the four key terms that you need to know in order to speak the language of profit in IB economics. All right, what are they? Economic profit, abnormal profit or supernormal profit, normal profit, and loss or negative profit. And you can kind of see right away that, like, this is a classic example of economics of combining words like abnormal and profit, and you know what both those words mean individually, but together it's kind of weird. And then they make a word up like supernormal, right? I don't know if they made up the word, but it's like not a normal word. Maybe it's supernormal. Same thing with normal profit. You got to get rid of your intuition, get rid of your what you think you might know, like you've had to do all along throughout economics, and just like learn the term new as if you'd never heard any of those words. All right, so economic profit, what is it? It's economic profit is a firm's total revenue minus its total costs. You know that. You know, if you're going to make a pizza and it costs you $5 to make the pizza, right? And you have a revenue of $8, you made $3 profit, okay? As long as those costs of making the pizza include the implicit costs incurred by the opportunity costs incurred by the entrepreneur who could have otherwise been doing something, so you're then running a pizza shop, then you are operating like an accountant. You're counting it up like an accountant because opportunity costs of the entrepreneur and opportunity costs of what you could rent out the space if you were not to produce pizzas is combined into this notion of economic costs, okay? Then what's abnormal profit or supernormal profit? This refers to positive economic profit arising when total revenue is greater than total economic costs, where implicit costs, implicit plus explicit costs, boop, with another parentheses there, okay? So this is when your pizza shop makes $8 and your costs are only $5, or makes $7 and your costs are only $5, has a revenue of $6, but your costs are only $5, right? This is when there's more money than what covers your basic costs. What's normal profit then? Well, normal profit is the minimum amount of revenue that a firm must receive so that it keeps the business running. So if we got a pizza shop, what's the minimum profit we need in order to keep it running? $5. Why? Because that's how much it costs us to make the pizza. And assuming that $5 represents all of our economic costs, then we understand what normal profit is, okay? Profit is zero, right? But profit is zero is a definition of normal profit. Then, of course, there's a thing called loss or negative profit or negative economic profit. And this refers to the difference between economic costs and total revenue of a firm when economic costs are greater than the revenue. Oh my God, that sounds sophisticated, but that's just like as if you had costs of $5 to make your pizza and you had total revenues of $4. You just lost $1 per unit, right? So very seemingly complex econ jargon. It's just intuitive stuff you already know because you know how to behave as a person, right? You understand the basics of economics intuitively because we're adults here, right? You can understand that, right? What you have to do then is incorporate this economic language. It's super important. It's economic language. You can't dismiss it. You can't go casual on it. You have to know all this stuff. But the concepts themselves are not very difficult. All right. Three other terms that we're going to look at in this short little video. Something called the shutdown price, something called the break-even price, and lastly, the profit maximization level of output. Okay, the shutdown price, look in the other video related to, there's a full video related to this lesson, and there's also a lesson on the shutdown price. Check out that video as well. But the shutdown price is where price equals the average variable cost, right? The shutdown price is the price at which a firm that is making losses will stop producing in the short run. And that is when P equals average variable cost. If price is greater than average variable cost, the firm will go on producing in the short run, even if it is making a loss. So the shutdown price assumes that it's making a loss. And the reason it's making a loss is that its revenues are not covering all of its economic costs. So the firm has a decision, right, that's not covering all of their total costs. The firm has a decision here about when to shut down or stay open. In this case, and look the other video for more information, it's actually easier, I think, to think about a firm of whether or not they should open up or not. Because if you have a basic costs every month that are fixed for $1,000 to pay your rent and to pay your electric bills and fixed costs, then whether you're open or not, you got to pay $1,000. So the question becomes, for the shutdown price, if you open, what are your variable costs? Well, if you open up and you have to pay $200 a month for someone to sit in your store, and you don't have more than $200 of revenue in that month, then by opening up, right, you've added to the cost that you have at the end of the month. Because if you don't clear $200 of revenue, then you have $1,000 in fixed costs plus, let's say, $100 extra in the variable cost you didn't fix if you only earned $100 that month. Okay, so it's a very important concept. Check out the video on the shutdown price for more information if that doesn't make sense. Okay, then also we have the break-even price, and that is where price equals average total costs. And this is the price at which a firm breaks even, meaning that total revenue is just equal to its total costs, which is the point where they will make, you got it, normal profits, right? And that break-even point, I just said that, is the firm is earning normal profit. So this is in the pizza joint example. This is when revenues are $5 and our costs are $5, and everybody gets paid. The entrepreneur gets paid. Everybody gets a salary. The wages are paid. The bills are paid. We can still go out to dinner, go on vacation, like we did last year. But there's just no extra money, right? That's normal profit. Then lastly, the price maximizing output. There's a very important part of this term, and that's the output. It is not the profit maximizing price. It is the profit maximizing level of output. Get that straight in your head, okay? Of course, the profit maximization level is the goal that we assume in theory of the firm, right? And what it involves is making profit as large as possible, and it is achieved by producing the level of output where the difference between total revenue and total cost is the largest. It is where, and you'll see this on the curves, the marginal cost equals the marginal revenue. And that output level, you're going to get a value, a Q, right? Quantity or output, same thing. Where these two curves reach, that's the sweetest spot for a firm, because they know where MC equals MR, where their marginal cost equals their marginal revenue, that they can maximize profits. It does not mean that at that output point, they will actually maximize profits. It's just saying that at that quantity, where MC equals MR, they have the potential to maximize profits. So if that's the case, the whole thing comes down to where their average cost curve lands. And get that in your head. And if that doesn't make sense, hold on to the idea. I promise you. Where MC equals MR is the profit maximized level of output. You're finding a value of Q, of quantity, that will allow the firm to maximize its profits most likely. Okay? Very, very cool. So those are the key terms for profit. And I just want to show you one other thing so we can put all this together. Jocelyn Blink put together a nice little chart here for firm A, firm B, firm C, and I think it's worth quickly going over this so that you can understand the difference between abnormal, normal, and loss in a revenue table. And also, you will see there's a break-even point in here that is kind of nice to see, okay? So let's take a look at firm A, okay? Well, first of all, look at the whole chart. Total revenue for all firms, $200,000. Fixed costs for all firms, $40,000. Variable costs for all firms, 80, or not all firms. For firm A is 80, firm B is 100, firm C is 120. The implicit cost, that's the opportunity cost for the entrepreneur and the capital that is not being engaged elsewhere or employed elsewhere, is 60, 60, and 60. Okay, so you notice very quickly, like what's changed? Well, the variable cost, and that kind of makes sense, right? I mean, the variable cost, you got to think about the variable cost as being the costs that the firm has the most control over, because they can change those. That's usually the costs associated with labor, right, mostly. So that's why when firms go bad, they fire workers, or when things are going good, the first thing they do is hire workers, because they can control it very quickly, and it's the easiest thing to manage in terms of making sure you're profitable. Okay, so let's look at firm A. They have a revenue of $200,000. If you add their fixed costs, their variable costs, and implicit costs, that's $180,000. So I know you are high level or standard level math econ students, but I'm pretty sure you can do this math. All right, so what happened here? Well, check it. If their revenue is $200,000 and their total costs, accounting for all of them, is $180,000, then they make an abnormal profit of $20,000. Okay? Cool. Now, As for firm B, they have a revenue of 200. They have fixed costs of 40, variable costs of 100, implicit costs of 60, and therefore their total cost equal 200. So firm B is experiencing normal profits, and also at whatever price level this might be, it's their break-even point, right? Firm B is neither losing money nor making money. Everybody's going on vacation. Everybody's happy. They're all getting their wage, right? The business is successful, but no one's making anything extra. It's just covering the costs of doing business. Firm C has got a revenue of 200 grand as well as fixed costs of 40, but their variable costs are 120 and an implicit cost of 60. So they have a $20,000 more cost that they can control, the variable costs, and therefore their total costs are 220. So this firm is spending 220, but the revenue is only $200,000, and therefore firm C is making a loss. So that's the basic idea, okay? Those are the key terms applied to a very simple chart. There's more to it. Stay tuned. Watch more of these videos. Continue to understand this profit section of cost, revenue, and profit. You got this. Stay with it. Don't let yourself start swimming around, okay? This is human behavior trapped in data and on graphs that were created by our behavior. It's not the other way around. So if you get lost, just think about the logic behind it based on like human intuition, and you'll come close to the answer. All right, my friends, be good, stay well, and I hope you found this video to be helpful, and we'll talk to you in a bit.